The one that just came out, Love Punctually.
Oh, that's a good one. Love Punctually. That's stupid.
That's a good one. That's stupid.
That's a good one. The one by 3-6 Mafia, Love Crunctually.
Oh, geez.
You're trying too hard now.
No, I'm not. Shut up.
The one that's been verified by scientific sources, Love Factually.
The one brought to you by ADD, Love Distractedly.
I thought that one was called Love. You want to ride bikes?
The one that came out in the 70s, Love Functionally.
The one sponsored by the soap maker, Dove, actually.
And with that, fuck this.
The mathematicians love fractionally.
The one supported by O.J. Simpson, Glove, actually.
I think we're recording the pod.
We're out.
Want to ring the bell?
I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. I'm a loner, Daddy. Rebel.
I am the walrus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to John Hates Movies, the movie review podcast where my friends prevent me from making major policy decisions for my nation based on a stupid crush, and instead force me to watch movies. This week, we have with us
Yikes.
Eric Largent.
Tally ho.
We have James Barrow.
Don't buy drugs. Become a pop star, and they give you them for free.
Chris Arsenault.
Hello, I'm very busy and important. How can I help you?
And last but not least, Colin McMillan.
Worse than the total agony of being in love.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This week we watched a movie that some people call a Christmas movie, some people call a good movie. I call it neither of those things. We watched Love Actually.
Wow.
Beef.
No, man. No way, man. I'm with Johnny. I'm with Johnny. Absolutely.
The description of Love Actually, folks. This ensemble comedy is it? There's no question mark there. I put it in there for emphasis. Is a charming treatise on romance, telling 10 intertwining London love stories, leading up to a climax on Christmas Eve, starring Hugh Grant, Emma Thompson, Colin Firth, a whole host of other English actors that were famous before Simon Pegg. And it was directed by Richard Curtis.
Thanks for the editorial there, John, with the, the question mark.
My synopsis would go like this. 7 mediocre rom-com pitch lines are mashed together and barely developed to waste 2 hours of your time.
2 hours and 14 minutes.
Correct.
As is John Hates Movies tradition, the person who picked the movie gets to go first. So, James.
All right. So,
James, actually.
yeah. So, as we all know, we like to, at this podcast, we pride ourselves on being inclusive and forward-thinking, and I'd like to think that I lead us in that endeavor. But I was watching this movie last night, and
it's amazing how none of those words he spoke were true.
He includes everyone in his racist jokes, all right?
Yeah.
So that weird
some
sound I
this.
heard was a bullshit sucker? Is that what it was?
Yeah. He hates all people that believe in religions the same.
I'm equal opportunity here. So, I was watching this movie last night, and I got bored about halfway through. So instead, I just wrote down a list of all the women in this movie and rated them on doability. First,
right.
Emma Thompson.
Here you go.
Pretty doable. Yeah. No, that's not my review. Of course.
What do you mean, no?
No, of course, this is not my review.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I like how you all believed me though for a second there.
James,
Yeah.
we could believe anything coming from you.
The scope is wide. The scope is wide.
Like, literally anything.
You could have been like, I'm doing this review in French, and I would have bought it.
Right.
Not that I know you know French, but I bet you would have tried.
No bridge of absurdity is too far for James.
Like, first off, this movie cheats because, as Colin was saying, this most movies have like one story and they go for it. And here's the thing is that they have like 7. I thought it was 10. It could have been 10. I don't know. But
I think it was
nonetheless, first time I watched this movie. Yeah, the first time I watched this movie, I thought it was really good. And I've changed my opinion on it a little bit. But the reason why this movie, I feel like, gets such a pass is because it's the psych trick. It's anything that doesn't hit gets forgotten. So, like, there are, like, a couple of stories in here that are just mediocre. If they needed to carry their own movie, they wouldn't have done well at all. But since they're in this movie with Bill Knightley acting like an awesome dude, then, anyway... From the beginning, you got the wedding scene with Keira Knightley, and anytime Keira Knightley is on screen, I need people to know that I can no longer take it seriously anymore, because whenever I see her, all I can think is, Keira Knightley, Davy Jones, giant squid. It's either that
Funny, anytime for me, anytime Keira Knightley's on screen, I have a completely different reason for not being able to focus on it.
For me, it's fear because she has those giant snarling teeth, and I just feel like she's going to eat me.
big head.
I was wondering if like it was going to turn out she was the stand-in, and because they were going to assassinate the queen.
That's the other thing I was thinking every time I see her is this Padme Ramadallan? Oh man!
Sorry, John wouldn't get that Star Wars.
No,
I never knew that was Keira Knightley.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Natalie Portman. Looks almost exactly like her.
Which is funny because when Jesse was asking me about this movie, I was like, I think Natalie Portman is in it. But no, it's Keira Knightlly.
Yep. Huh. I'm going to give really quick reviews on all the stories in here. The Bill Knightley story. Bill Knightley plays the aged rock star. His was like legitimately funny and legitimately heartwarming, and I really liked it. And it just, like, everything about it is really fun. He's really fun and a joy to watch. And honestly, instead of whoever the hell is playing the new Doctor, Bill Knightley has also been in Doctor Who, and quite frankly, he would have made a better Doctor than whoever the hell is playing it now.
It kind of doesn't matter who's playing it because he would have just made a fantastic Doctor anyway. Like, he would have been amazing.
Yeah.
He's so good. He could be Dr. What?
I'm not responding to any Doctor Who talk whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, we need to move on.
Okay. All I'm saying is I just wish that he would do it before he gets too old. All right. The marriage story between what's his face and the old dead guy.
What's her face?
Hans Gruber. Yeah, between Hans Gruber and
okay,
what's his
that
face.
marriage story.
Yeah, goddamn. Why the hell is this even in the movie?
Don't know.
It's just sad and depressing,
Well,
and it really
they
serves no
needed
purpose.
like a counterpoint to all the like positive things that were happening. Like that story just never, nice things never happened in that story, really.
No.
Yeah, and it never got resolved either.
Nope.
No.
And it was just
That's how
honestly,
a lot of life happens, so it doesn't get
Yeah,
resolved.
it's true
It's
life,
interesting, though, because he obviously, he emotionally cheated. Not that we know of physically cheated, but he definitely emotionally cheated.
Yeah.
the point being is that I feel like this is supposed to be a feel-good Christmas movie. We don't fucking need that shit.
Right.
So let's see, the language thing with the fiddly writer,
Mr. Darcy.
Colin Firth.
the stumbling.
Mr. Darcy.
I completely forgot about that from the first time I watched it. I feel like watching it again, it could honestly carry its own movie.
Yeah.
But in this...
Yeah, it's called Spanglish.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay, that's actually pretty accurate.
I never saw Spanglish.
Yeah,
but
they
I'm
already
pretty
made
sure
that
it was
not a
fucking
bad
movie.
movie.
Yeah, nonetheless, so I felt like it could have carried its own. Let's see, the sexy Spanish guy with her messed up brother. First off, didn't need to be in the movie. Could have driven less attention to it. I don't know. Secondly, the dude didn't need to leave just because she's dealing with some shit with her brother. It would have been much more better feel good thing if it had like a little twist, a little something more to it, or for that matter, if he just stuck around while she dealt with her brother's stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
she
like
had to
have a
leave.
cup of tea, dude. Like, chill.
She had to leave.
Yeah, she needed to like go see her brother like at the
But
time.
the point
Still,
No,
you
I'm
don't
saying
stop
he
dating
didn't
a
need to
girl.
leave her.
Oh,
Yeah.
But they didn't have to stop everything from there. The real point that should be made there is they still could have gotten in a quickie.
I know, right?
She was obviously hard up for it, and he was good to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the guy's going to be having crises all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he could be a pillar of support in her life.
Hey,
And
you
even
know,
if he does, you know.
you call that the price of admission
Yeah.
in
Exactly.
a relationship. Like, everybody has a price of admission, and that's this Laura Linney's character. That's hers. She
Yeah.
has a brother who's in an institution, and if you're going to get with her, you got to deal with that.
Yeah, and does in a feel good Christmas movie where everything works out, he supports her.
If you want to
That's
be
what I'm
my
saying.
lover, you got to get with
Exactly.
my disabled brother. Make it last forever.
I never understood that song. If you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. So
Yeah.
everyone's getting groovy.
So, orgy.
Just like my favorite story in this movie, the guy that goes to America, goes to Wisconsin,
Yeah.
and everything works out.
Wonderful
Which is
place
my
called
next point.
Wisconsin. Wisconsin
Oh my God.
babes.
Wisconsin, of all the places to meet hot babes,
So
Wisconsin's not it.
Just an aside on that, when they wrote that part of the movie, the people who wrote it had no understanding of where Wisconsin was located and just how tragically
you think?
ironic this was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious, though. I mean, as an American watching it, that is one of the funniest parts.
Oh yeah, super
Yeah.
funny.
So
but
like,
it wasn't actually intended to be funny in that way.
so like, yeah, that ugly guy. Like, okay, it doesn't really make sense in kind of this grounded, somewhat semi-grounded movie, but it is kind of fun in that like frat boy National Lampoon American Pie type movie. It would be good in its own movie. It doesn't quite fit the source material, and also the writing in it is really hackneyed, which you can forgive if it's
Lord.
like if it was a National Lampoon movie or something like that. You could forgive the hackneyed writing because it's stupid comedy, but this is trying to be better, and it's obvious, but apparently with this part, they just quit trying. This is when the writer got really drunk and his hands turned into hams. And,
Put down the sandwich.
yeah.
Too much Christmas sherry.
Yeah, so the last one, I think, is a prime minister. And that whole thing, obviously, Billy Bob Thornton is supposed to be George W. Bush in that. But just watching Billy Bob Thornton as the president, I forgot. I knew that the president was like a notable celebrity in this movie. And seeing it be Billy Bob Thornton, I was like, man, I really wish he was our president now. Like, like for real. And on top of that, yeah, I forgot. I knew that he stood up to the president. I didn't know the reason. I completely forgot the reason. And that is stupid.
Because he's been a bully.
Yeah, because the tea girl is hot, so fuck the president of the United States.
Exactly.
Right.
It's stupid. It's
Scamming
like,
on his squirrel.
he's just like, he is acting like Donald Trump, willing to risk like a major international incident because a chick is hot.
Hilariously, though, his whole cabinet was trying to get him to take this stance. It was just the wrong catalyst, but nobody knows that.
Yep.
And I love how they speak in vagaries, how they're like, well, he's getting what he wants, but we don't get what we want. And so we're going to fight for what we want.
Wink,
And
wink,
I'm like-
nudge,
Right.
nudge, say no more.
Well, it's not a political movie. They don't need to talk about policy.
Yep.
Well, they don't, but it's still, I'm like, is this really like what people thought of Tony Blair? Like, the only reason he didn't stand up to George Bush?
Was because there wasn't a hot enough tea girl.
Yeah,
in the-
No,
It's possible.
No,
It's like
Hugh
Tony
Grant.
Blair
Okay,
wanted exactly what fucking
This
Bush,
wasn't-
he gobbled
this-
that shit up with a
no,
spoon.
this is not a Tony Blair, George W. Bush analog. These are made up characters.
No.
Yes.
They are totally supposed to be George, but like,
No.
at least based on them.
He's not supposed to be Tony
Well-
Blair.
I think he is.
No way. Tony Blair was married.
You know, still.
I don't think it really matters who he is or isn't supposed to be, because the point of that and Colin's story in this movie is that Americans are slimy idiots. So, like,
Yes.
that's the point. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
at least something we can agree on.
Because, yeah, I mean, the point of that story is there's a cowboy in the White House, and isn't that stupid? And, he's gonna, he can't, if you leave him alone for 5 seconds, he's gonna start grabbing butts. Ha, God, we don't need those Americans.
That's my job, grabbing butts.
I know, right?
When you're a podcaster, they let you do what you want. No,
Oh boy.
Oh no.
the ugly guy talking about America. I remember what I was going to say. Reminded me of like my nerd friends and me for a certain point, thinking, I'm just going to go to Japan.
Yep.
Totally.
Doesn't
Totally.
fucking work. Never works. You're just going to be more stupid.
That's right.
And more embittered because paradise doesn't fucking exist. This movie, which came out in the early aughts, you wouldn't
Because
think...
they paved it mid a parking lot.
Paradise.
Joni Mitchell. Another throwback.
You wouldn't think a movie from the early aughts. Now, I feel like this, like things from the early aughts and today, like the early 10s and all that shit, they all kind of blend together into like one seamless like time period. So you don't really think of things from like the early aughts as dated, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm still in my 20s. But first, like all the needle drops, which are really good in this movie. I actually like a lot of the needle drops. They go from playing like Justin Timberlake, which isn't played anymore, to Norah Jones. And like nothing cements a movie into like 2002 to 2003 more than Norah Jones.
Yeah, the
That is
music in
true.
this movie really did time period pigeonhole it, like big time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: this movie had something that most other Christmas movies we've been reviewing so far didn't have, and that it was actually joyful.
Yes.
I guess I'll end it with the line that Bill Nighy talked about when he was in the recording studio, and he says, these young guys on Christmas Eve, they're going to be in some dark room with a lovely bird balanced on their balls, and I'm like, that's exactly how I plan to spend my Christmas.
Sweet.
How does he know?
Okay.
Okay.
I gotta jump on here. I'm nominating myself because James hit on a very important point about this movie that I want to continue on.
Okay.
James, you've been
No!
tricked. You have been tricked by the music in this movie.
Oh.
Because there are several scenes in Love Actually that you only feel warmed by because of the music. And there's two I'm going to cite. Number one is, you just cited it, the kid running through the airport. That is only not terrifying because of the music they put under it. That kid is like 10. And Liam Neeson just let him loose in the airport in 2003.
But he's fucking
That is
authority
not
and
romantic.
fuck the TSA.
You don't get to do that.
You do in a
And-
movie.
In America, somebody would have shot that kid.
Yes. And in
TSA, fuck them. They know
2003,
nothing of love.
and in 2003, in England, they would have known that. All right.
Right.
And the other time you're tricked by the music is in my least favorite storyline in the entire movie, and that's the Keira Knightley storyline.
I forgot to
Because
mention that. Yeah, also my least favorite. That's fucking
It's
awful and bad and
absolutely
evil.
Terrible. Yes, terrible. Not only that, not only is it terrible on the face of it, it's also where that stupid, like, Sharpie on whiteboard meme fucking comes from. And like, what there's a scene where he's showing the video to Keira Knightley, and it's all her, and it's all these close-ups, and there's this really, like, emotional music playing, and it's like, oh my god, it's so sweet. No, that is
Creepy
very
as fuck.
creepy. It is inappropriate. It's wrong. And Mark is an idiot because you don't put that shit, your creepiness, you don't put that shit on video.
Well, creepy people do.
Yes, creepy people do. And we're supposed to feel for this guy. Except that, okay, you get this background. Well, hey, why is your friend Mark a complete asshole? And Mark's like, well, it's because I love you. And then it's like, oh, how sweet. No. No. Fuck Mark. Okay? Mark is a dick. His best friend is getting married. You don't obsess over your best friend's wife. You fucking forget it, okay? And the whole showing up at the door thing, that is not romantic. And Keira Knightley's that character, like, shame on the writers for that character, because she should have said, hey, who's at the door, honey? Oh, it's your best friend being a complete creep. Like, they've been married at that point for what, 2 weeks?
Something like that.
And she's so moved that she's going to kiss her husband's best friend. That whole storyline needs to like burn in a fire. Like, terrible. Now there are 2 decent storylines in this movie as far as I'm concerned. One is the Bill Nye one, which they should have just made an entire movie about. Because the whole aging rock star who is embittered and finds that he really has a deep brotherly love for his manager, that is a story that has enough legs you can make an entire movie about it. And it would have been great with Bill Nye as your lead. Like, that would have been a fantastic movie. Except they fuck the dog in this because there is no evidence before that confession that they have anything but a toxic relationship. You know, hey, it's the super rock star. Oh yeah, and that's my fat asshole manager. He smells bad. He's ugly. I don't like him. You know, and then in the end, oh, bro, I love you. Oh, hug me. I'd be like, get out of my house. I will see you Monday. You know. There's another decent, potentially decent storyline in this movie, and that's Liam Neeson and the little boy. Who, if by the way you're annoyed by child actors, don't worry, he gets exploded in Game of Thrones. I did like that kid in this movie, even though his eyes are bottomless pools of blackness. But he does a fine job, and he's very cute. Now
he was warging into an older actor this entire movie.
Seriously, yes, he was. He was working out the whole time.
Yeah.
So, but you have this nice idea of Liam Neeson getting through his grieving by bonding with the child of his deceased wife, and they both grow from this experience and form a deep familial bond. Again, this could be its own movie. Except they fuck the dog again. Because you know why everything's going to be all right at the end of that storyline? Because Liam Neeson meets a hot girl at the airport.
It's Claudia
And
Schiffer,
you know what
by
he
the way.
says? You know what he says? I don't care who it is, okay?
Yeah, that's the joke.
Oh, I see, because I didn't catch that. But you know what? Even with that callback, and this is why they, again, fuck the dog on that one. Because he says, that's my son. Well, stepson, actually.
Yep.
Nope. That kid's mom is gone, and you take care of him like he's your son now. You don't. There's no reason for that clarification, and it completely nullifies the bond that they've formed. He should have said, "Yes, that's my son." Period. Because that is the end of that story. The end of that story is, yes, he is my son. You understand what I'm saying? Like, like
I hear
they
you.
undo
But
the good work.
Like, that's not. I don't know. That's like fine pointing something that's really kind of supposed to be like they didn't.
Why is it in there? But why is it in there? Like, why would he clarify that? You know, I mean, I know it's a tiny moment out of a very long, very, very long movie. But like, that's important. That is a really important distinction. That's like saying, oh, this is my son. He's adopted. Like, it's not, there's a difference there. And he is establishing
maybe he's trying to
degree
like
of
separate
distance.
himself regards to why the kid looks so funny. He loves him.
That's why his
But
head
those
is
aren't
huge.
my
That's
genes.
not because of me.
Those are not my genes.
The haystack on his head, that wasn't me.
If he was my son, he'd have a great Irish brogue.
Yes, that he would.
It's really disappointing me.
So, like, there's a couple of ones that just made me really, honestly, this movie made me angry. Okay, most of the storylines in this movie are just straight up boring, if they're not enraging. But I also think it's important to mention that that Carl is Xerxes from 300.
Yes.
So, like, anyway, I just really didn't like this movie. Like, I just thought everything in it was trite. Everything was underdeveloped. All the storylines that needed resolution got none. It has a 7.7 on IMDb, and I have no idea why, other than that we think British people are just charming. Like, I don't get it. I've had this movie highly recommended so many times. People talk about how great it is, and I just wasn't digging it at all. It's just, I thought it was a really stupid movie.
I get where you're coming from, Colin, and I'm sure I'll have more to say about that. So let's hear from somebody who didn't think that this was entirely stupid.
I need Chris to like bring us back around, bring the love train back on the tracks here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chris? Because I thought you were leading the
Well,
love train charge.
I'm the caboose on the love train.
Well, okay. Well, that's fair because I'll be the caboose on the hate train. So,
this isn't the first time I've seen this movie. I think I probably saw it originally back when it first came out, and I've actually seen it several times. Funny thing is, I haven't actually watched it in a couple of years. So I finally watched it again. I was kind of lamenting watching it again because, stuff doesn't always hold up. It's one of those things that, as a young man, this movie was one that resonated with me because it was, when you're young and trying to go in and out of love, when you're finding people and, it's one of those, oh, this is exactly the way it's supposed to be, you're supposed to do these grand gestures and it's so much agony and, right?
Yeah.
Because you're young and dumb.
Yeah, absolutely.
because you got a bit of the romantic,
Right.
Yeah,
and you don't know any better, frankly. The reality is that
we haven't developed our hard candy shells.
right.
Yet.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is love shouldn't be that painful.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And as a slightly older young man,
We're all 29.
love is like 10% of what this movie actually shows. Because frankly, it's mostly just learning to appreciate and tolerate someone that does all of those things that you would hate if it were any other person. And find that you love them because of some of those things. It's so much more than anything that is actually present in this movie. However, it does touch on a bunch of different aspects of love. The over aggressive, lustful thing between the assistant and the boss, the just unbridled, innocent love with the kid and the young girl, the awkwardly innocent love between the two actors who have seen each other naked but are treating it like he didn't even want to go in for the kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have you can find love just in the presence of another person. And that's not covering them all. So last week I said I had a story about this movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a young man, oddly, after this movie came out, which is why it's relevant to this movie.
Did your father take you into the city to see a marching band?
No.
He said, Chris, when?
No. It's one of those, I had a thing for a friend of mine, and, I had a huge crush on her. It was one of those things like, it's one of those, it was never the right time. Because as a young man, you always know that it's never the right time. Mm-hmm. And she started dating my best friend. So, of course, I couldn't do or say anything. But that doesn't make it go away. And Colin already called the one guy a despicable asshole for loving his... But we don't know the background on that. And obviously, they weren't friends ahead of time because, he only knows her through Mark because... evident, and I understand that's totally different, but the reality is especially when you're younger, I honestly think you'd think you get past this kind of thing, but you hit those points where like you can be infatuated with someone honestly to your own dismay.
Oh sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's entirely what happened with me. The problem is she, being my friend, knew something was up and what prodded me to the point where I had to admit what was going on, and her response was, "What? Just like in Love Actually?" So this movie is both like almost a sore spot with me, and like it is not a bad movie though.
Right.
So that's my little story, and but like I said, it's not because of that at all that I love or hate this movie. And I don't even know that I could go as far as loving or hating this movie. I certainly love parts of this movie, characters in this movie. I hate bits of this movie. Billy Bob, I hate in this movie. I can't understand why Liam Neeson lets his wife die and doesn't even take revenge.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I'm a man with a certain set of skills.
That was
a very
yes.
specific set of skills.
I love that for a rom-com, it has a rather unexpected level of nudity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Laura Linney hanging dog.
Right? It surprisingly, like, even though this is definitely the, I'm like, the kind of love that you have really between, like 13 and maybe 20, it's still a lot closer to real love than most rom-coms tend to, or at least plays out closer. Take that with a grain of salt for all the grand gestures of running through an airport or going to another country to see someone. I mean, everything is going to have its standouts. And it's a 7.7 on IMDb because it's emotional porn, Colin.
Yeah.
You are not the intended audience at all. You know who the intended audience is?
Ooh.
Women. And I'm not trying to be sexist there, but let's face it, that's what
Let's
rom-coms...
get more specific. This is a movie for theater girls.
Yes. And
I think
but
all
it
girls
has
like this
but
movie.
it has all those aspects of comedy, nudity, and other stuff so that they can bring their boyfriend to it and he won't want to walk out.
I mean, I'll give the nudity an A.
Spot on.
Yes, spot on.
But there are points where this movie does jump back and forth. It tries to be really sad and serious, and then it has these absurd points of levity to the point of being, lampooning. But I think that's just so you don't delve so deep into I want to kill myself. Some of those sad things are sad. Like watching a woman see a disruption in her relationship with her and her husband, not even necessarily that there's an actual, adultery occurring, but just that he's walking a line that he shouldn't.
Right.
And she calls him on it and doesn't like scream and tell him to get the fuck out. She just, and he, for whatever he did, he feels the shame of it because he should. But that's another level. Like, at what point is it actually, cheating? And I, because I'm one of those people, because I'm that stupid romantic and I'm emotional and I have those feelings and whatnot.
Alan Rickman definitely cheated, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
yes,
All right.
yes. From my perspective, I would say yes.
Yeah.
But you don't know to what level. He definitely gave her the what's her face?
So even
a gift, but we
Right,
don't know if they
they're
were
married.
actually physical.
You don't give
So,
heart-shaped jewelry
There
to
was
another
definitely
woman.
So even if the whole level, like the only thing that happened is what we saw, I think Alan Rickman still cheated.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, and that's what I'm getting at because there are different levels. Like there is emotional cheating, there's physical cheating, but it's still cheating.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think the fucked up thing is like a lot of people don't understand that, and I think a lot of people are more guilty of emotional cheating than physical cheating.
No doubt
but they
about
would
it.
never recognize it.
Well, you also got to
Totally
think about
off subject for the movie. It's not off subject, but like that's trying to pin into a subject that doesn't need to be delved into.
Right.
Well, think about it from this perspective. Okay, they're married for long enough. Like that's not just his money. He's spending the family's money on another woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, does she have a job? Sorry.
it doesn't matter.
You can cut that out. That was a bad joke.
But like, well, I mean, joking aside though, it kind of doesn't matter what she brings into the household because
No.
the understanding is.
I'm with you. No, there's entirely. But
Yeah.
they said that's one thing or other. They confront each other and they'll deal with it, obviously, because they both know. But they still put on the face and go and do the things as the family is and whatever. Let's jump off that because this is why there have points of levity where like Sir Colin goes to America and with his bag chock-a-block full of condoms.
Ends
So,
up having
like,
a foursome?
Yes, probably. The best part
Like some, I guess.
American
this
girls
movie's
are sluts.
it's not true.
That's just how that's how Americans feel about English girls.
It's
That's
the
how
other
English-
side of the fence. Simply,
Who
Yeah.
feels that about English girls?
Everybody
Lots of
feels
guys.
that about
No,
other
I've
other
actually heard
cultures.
that about English girls.
Everybody
Like,
feels that way about other cultures. That's
That-
how James felt about Japanese girls.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he went to Japan.
You go to X
I'm
country, you're going to get
serious.
so much ass.
Right.
Like, you always,
Ridiculous.
absolutely, you always hear that.
Yeah.
Or more like they'll appreciate me over there.
I've heard it.
Yeah,
But I've never heard it about English girls.
I have.
Just one more thing I forgot because it was on the wrong page. I split my notes in general and my dislikes from another page.
Chris takes notes like fucking Ichabod Crane in Sleepy Hollow.
It's obvious the whole time that Hugh Grant's character was supposed to be a much older man.
Yeah, I
And
agree with that.
the only issue I have with that is that there's so many points of dialogue and jabs that point to it. You know, a golden oldie for a golden oldie, you know, that you still look young and blah, 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 when it's obvious that Hugh Grant is like, 100 years younger than Billy Bob Thornton, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
the least they could have done is try to age him. However, the scene where he's dancing around was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's true. That was very
And
funny.
that song's it's so fun.
Yeah.
That song is so fun.
The movie does have a lot of great lines, though. You know,
I agree.
We started off the podcast with "You mean the complete and utter agony of being in love." The kid in this movie has some of the best lines, like that. For any guy, would be like, "Oh my god, that's stupid," but like any girls, "Oh." You know, and everyone worships her because she is heaven.
Mm.
You know, but then you have some awesome, great lines like, "Oh fuck, wank, bugger, shitting, arsehead, and hole."
One of my favorites.
You have the great dialogue, the mistranslation dialogue of saying the exact same thing
in different
languages
yeah.
without realizing it. I mean, it's not exactly original, but they do it well. It's funny, you know. To me, you are perfect, and oh yeah, my wasted heart will still love you. Wow, what the hell was I trying to write? Anyway,
my wasted fart will still love
right?
you. Right?
Mine was hello, I'm very busy and important. That's how he answers the call from his sister. I love that. And you agree that the Brazilian prostitutes were too much, and that it would have been better if they had not turned out to be men. Did you guys catch that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
in the wedding
It's like
scene.
the opening line of the movie.
Yeah.
It sets the tone.
Well, I don't think the first time I saw the movie, I don't think I caught what he was saying there. So I'm just saying.
You're just looking at how beautiful Andrew Lincoln was with those pouty lips.
Yes.
I was just waiting for the dictatorship.
Right.
This is my point. This movie has a lot of really good lines, a handful of funny parts, as well as a handful of kind of like over the top or just not or mundane things. It also it doesn't delve deep into any one of them, but that's what happens when you have that many storylines going. But it touches on so many things that like at any one point someone can like connect with one of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
And for that itself, it's kind of nice. Like I said, it doesn't dig into it, but you can connect to one of these stories on some level. But again, we're 5 guys reviewing a rom-com.
Yes.
We're not the intended comedy or intended viewership of this movie. We're not.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
when they made the movie, that we weren't. They're like these dudes. You know.
I beg to differ,
Chris,
sir.
well,
because
Chris,
I
John-
love my rom-coms, and this is just not a good one.
Well, Chris, I know that both me and you are like sensitive guys.
Yeah, you know.
I think we're part of the
Unlike
intent.
But
other
and I
assholes.
agree. Unlike you other assholes. And here's the thing. This is a movie I wouldn't. Here's what's funny about it. Yeah, it takes place around Christmas. I don't really consider it a Christmas movie. I just think it happens. You know, that's just the place and setting. But because it doesn't really dig too much on the fact that it's Christmas, other than because it's Christmas. It's like they really use Christmas as an excuse rather than because it's Christmas.
It's a MacGuffin in the story. It just
Well,
Yeah,
it's a MacGuffin hold on, guys. It's a MacGuffin in the story, but to be fair, this is one of the movies that on Christmas people pop in and watch.
I
this
wouldn't
is
watch
generally
this
regarded
for
as a Christmas movie.
And I think that's a weird thing considering all the, honestly, tragedy that this movie holds, you know? It's like, you know, you have a lot of painful, unrequited, you know, and just.
But Christmas brings that kind of shit out to people.
It does wholly, but here's the thing. Love shouldn't be this painful. And I like the movie.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yep.
Hey, I'm Eric. I'm on the podcast too. I know I haven't said a whole lot, but you know, hey, I'm here.
Hi, Eric.
I'm ultimately, as far as this episode of this podcast goes, I'm like the second lobster at the nativity.
Second lobster. There's more than one lobster at the nativity. That was a good line too. I meant to write that line too, but I forgot.
Last night I came home. I knew that I needed to watch Love Actually for the podcast, and so I made myself a romantic pasta dinner. Made some homemade pasta sauce, drank a bottle of Pinot Noir,
Nice.
and popped in Love Actually, and popped in, pulled it up on Netflix like we're fucking watching things on physical media anymore.
on Laserdisc.
I popped in the fucking Laserdisc.
The whole movie on there.
Sexy.
Right.
Sex act.
Sex egg.
That was too much excitement. A little more dead inside next time.
I couldn't help it because
Sex
I was about
egg.
to start talking about drinking red wine and eating pasta with cheese on it and watching Love Actually. I had like the perfect rom-com night in last night. I'm serious, guys. And I put on Love Actually, and I sat down and like, okay, so, and I do this most weeks, and we all do this most weeks, where we put our like critical thinking caps on, and like Colin talking about like saying, oh, step instead of just dad. Like we like dissect what actually is wrong with the movie. But I didn't do that. I just drank the bottle of Pinot Noir, ate the pasta, watched Love Actually, and had a fucking good time doing it. Like Bill Nye, his character,
He's a fucking
it
tits.
reminded me of James, I'm sorry, man. That guy reminded me of you a lot. It really did.
Sorry for what?
I guess I'm not sorry.
That's not much of an insult, really. That guy's fucking hilarious.
There's just like there's an alternate universe where James is still trying to do the rock star thing in his mid-50s.
And I'm Chubbs.
Sure. I don't know.
And James loves me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would take you to the Elton John party, though, dude.
Right? I can't believe
I wouldn't
you didn't
fucking
take
ditch
him
you
to the
like
Elton
that.
John party.
I know, right?
Right, that's the biggest dick move.
So the particular so when you're watching a romantic comedy and you're not looking at it with like a critical eye, you're always looking for a character that is like your analog that you can insert yourself into the movie with. And for me, it was Colin Firth. And I enjoyed the Colin Firth story of like him kind of being in a shitty relationship and getting away from it and having, you know, this meet cute with a person that you can barely connect with. And like, so like during the movie, I was like trying to figure out like the I don't know, the physical language that they could use with each other, that they could like talk about like how they could actually speak words to each other. I don't know. Apparently this movie happened before there were pocket translators from English to Portuguese. But yeah, I don't know. This movie charmed the shit out of me. It really did. Like Hugh Grant as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Give me a fucking break. But I don't like.
Well, all he had to do was work on his wave, and he was set.
Like that's absolutely ridiculous. And somebody with the the temperament that Hugh Grant's character had in this movie could never be elected to that high of public office ever in the history of the world, because he's kind of a wet towel. Or I don't know what he is. He's a little bit of a limp noodle. I don't know, how do you say it. he's Hugh.
You're making me
Hugh
hungry.
fucking Grant. Yeah,
I'm starting to talk of the pasta.
John,
wet
I've
noodles.
still got some of the pasta left over. It's in my fridge right now. I'm not joking. You can
Well,
have some.
I would love some pasta.
Come over.
Dude, mix it up with some buffalo sauce, bread it, with some chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
So the Andrew Lincoln, Cheatwell, Ajita 4, Keira Knightley story was just straight up bullshit. Like, why, okay, if they have no prior history, why is she coming back outside and kissing him?
Yeah, that one.
Like, I can understand if she's just charmed by this guy that has a crush on her. Like, people can have a crush on you and you're just charmed by it, but like, acting on it,
right? You don't give him a big kiss,
right? Acting on
it
is where it becomes a little like, okay, did they actually have something before they got married? Because that's the only thing that could actually explain that,
right? But it's evident that no, because she barely knows him,
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's bullshit. The Emma Thompson and Alan Rickman story is sad, but Jojen Reed's mother dying, like, those stories are sad, but you need to balance out the sugar with a little bit of sour, and that's what ultimately those things were a part of in the story. Look, I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't think about this movie critically at all. I just turned it on and watched it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like,
that's what movies are supposed to be.
No, but like, there are plenty of movies that we've reviewed on this podcast that you cannot just turn on, watch, and have a good time.
That's true.
And this movie is one that you can do that with.
I'll give you that.
It is. It just is. I don't care. John hates movies. Sometimes I hate movies. Sometimes I love movies. Sometimes I'm just happy to be watching a movie and drinking a bottle of wine. And
eating some pasta.
Yeah. And
God, that sounds good.
I don't know.
Doesn't it?
Like, so the other night I was thinking back on how so another thing we've kind of delved into with this movie is sometimes when you watch, it matters when you watch this movie and the state of like mind you are with your relationship that you watch this movie. Now, 2016, oh boy, has been, it's widely accepted that 2016 has been maybe the most shit showy year in human history.
Yeah.
And it has also been maybe the most shit showy year in Eric's history, because like, I got out of a relationship right as 2016 was starting and have been just through the entire year doing that whole dating thing, and that's a shit show.
Yes, it is.
Like,
I don't envy anybody who has to go through it nowadays.
I sympathize,
it's
man.
like, ugh. So like, you go on dates with people and it doesn't work out, and so you stop talking to people, but then you run into them at the grocery store and they're like scandalized that they have to see you again.
I guess you do. This is like a really rough age for dating.
Yeah.
It's a really rough time. Like this period, totally.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I meant like era.
Yeah.
Is what I mean. It's like the information age is a brutal time for dating because you can be replaced with 3 clicks.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago that I was in the same position, and it sucks.
Well, but then like so I've had some like kind of meaningful relationships in 2016 that ended poorly, and then there have also been meaningless relationships in 2016 that have just ended. And that's kind of how dating is happening now. I don't know how it works for other people. I just know how it works for me, and it's not fun. So like,
your experience is not unusual.
Yeah. So here we are at the end of 2016, and I am fucking over it. Like I've kind of checked out of my Facebook. I've kind of checked out of the dating apps, and I'm just like, and that's kind of what last night was about. It was like a Eric personal health night where I make myself some nice pasta. I watch a romantic comedy and feel good, and I don't have and nobody else's feelings are dependent on how good I feel right now. And that's what watching Love Actually did for me. I was like, it made me feel good. And like it does, and like fuck anybody else, because nobody else's like feelings are a part of it. I'm feeling good about me right now, and that's all there is to it.
And that's the key. Even though the term sounds really shady, that is actually what they intend by the term self-love.
Yeah.
Not with a hand. I've been doing it wrong for years, but I got really good at it.
Well, Eric, I appreciate your take on this.
That's what it was for me. I think that's what it was for me.
Well, how can you argue against that at all? I mean,
you can't, and that's not
being
really
kind of a jerk.
The point. Well, I wouldn't go that far. You guys know I have no problem being kind of a jerk. And in regards to Love Actually, you can do exactly what Eric did. You can watch this movie, not think too hard about it, and feel a little uplifted.
Yeah.
It's got just enough schmaltz and just enough charm that you can...
But no
that
heart.
Word came out of you like it was forced so hard.
I know. That was like, he like spat the word.
Right. It's got just enough.
Just enough. Charm.
But in my personal opinion, which is really... You know, like I said,
whose name's on
really
the podcast,
which is really
the
like
podcast.
the utmost pinnacle
only
expert.
Really, yeah. No, I have to agree with Colin. This movie owns pretty much all of its success to the soundtrack. All of the heart and charm from this movie is borrowed feelings from these songs, because every plot line in this is really, really weak. And the ones that we've mentioned that are moderately strong are completely and utterly unbelievable. Because I will tell you this. Alan Rickman, no matter who he plays, is not a cheater. It's not a thing that a man with that face is capable of doing.
Hot young secretary is not like putting the full court press on Alan Rickman.
Especially when you've got fucking Xerxes working in the same office.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, no.
And Mia was hot.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
She was ugly but hot.
Yeah,
she was like so
hot.
ugly that you wanted to look at her face to figure out why she was ugly, and then you found yourself really ridiculously attracted
like
to her.
she's weird looking, so you're staring, and then you get a boner.
But I mean, the rest
Rodrigo
of
Santoro is Carl's actor's name. He's very handsome. They killed him off in Lost because he was a worthless character.
I like my romantic comedies. I really do. I like my romantic comedies. I even like bad romantic comedies. Like Serendipity, I love that. And that has got to be one of the stupidest rom-coms anybody's ever fucking made. It's ridiculous.
Have you seen While You Were Sleeping?
Yes, I believe I have.
That's a stupid rom-com.
Yes. So I can get snowed by these very easily. I can basically get taken along for a ride on any of these romantic comedies, especially when I'm in the mood to do so. There's something about this particular one, and I don't know if it's just the way that they present the stories to you, or the characters that they have chosen for the individual stories. But anytime I was about to fall in line and feel like this was, a movie that could take me somewhere to that special place in my heart when I'm, like, oh, okay, I'll give it a pass because it's, it's making me feels. Every time that happens, something completely and utterly unbelievable would happen. Like,
Johnny, you needed to plate a pasta. I'm telling you.
I mean, maybe that would have solved it. Maybe a plate of pasta would have solved it. But what I had was a cup of coffee and a box of Cheez-Its. And let me tell you,
That is the wrong way to watch Love Actually.
yeah, let me tell you, slamming Cheez-Its is no way to have a good time. Period.
Dinner, actually. Cheez-Its and coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So
Good Lord.
I'm gonna disagree with the people here that said that this movie can make you feel pleased. I'm gonna say that this is 2 hours and 14 minutes that you can give a pass to. And if you really want to get the feeling that you get out of watching Love Actually, just buy the damn soundtrack and play
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Better yet, go out and buy Joni Mitchell's greatest hits. I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed.
And if you're English, it'll teach you to feel.
Exactly. See? That's what I was expecting from this. I was expecting it would teach me to feel. It did not teach me to feel.
Well, obviously, it didn't teach
That
you
just
to
can't
feel.
be done.
So, I could get very, very nitpicky, and I could get very, very critical about this, but it's late, and we're all tired, and it's time for us to go to bed.
8:15 Eastern Standard
Not late at
Time.
all.
Yeah, wait, you're an hour behind us. It's 7 o'clock
Yeah,
over there.
where you are.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
It is
time for
bedtime, so
tapioca
say
pudding
we
and
all.
a nap.
John's had his gruel warming on the heating vent all day. And he's eating that before he goes to bed. You fucking Scrooge!
Oh, Lord.
A bit of chipped beef. All right.
For dessert, he has coffee and Cheez-Its.
And hate.
You know, if anybody is going to try and figure out at what point in my day I was eating coffee and Cheez-Its, there's no time where that combination sounds correct. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our review of Love Actually. So we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, it will be time for the game.
James, you better have a fucking game ready for us, you fuck.
That's so aggressive.
Hello, John Hates Movies listeners. It's Eric Largent with a special announcement. Next week, December 21st, our third annual Christmas episode is coming out. So get hype. Let your friends know. Tell your plants. Tell your dog. Tell your cat. Tell your mom and dad. Tell your sisters. Because this is going to be the best episode of all time. If not, maybe just the second best episode after our first Christmas special. But yeah, get hype. 2016 John Hates Movies Christmas special, December 21st. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is now time for your favorite part of mine. It is time for the game.
Yes.
Yay!
And as is John Hates Movies, John Hates Movies tradition, the person who picked the movie also runs the game, which that means we've got a James game.
So I came up with two games. One is not funny but doable. The other one has potential for fun.
So wait, not funny but
So-
doable, like Emma Thompson.
No, like quiz. Oh,
Zing!
That's a callback.
damn it! I wish I didn't fucking step on your joke. That was a good one. I'm going to do a little bit of a creative game, which, John, I know you're going to hate, so you might as well just throw out your choice right now. This one is called Backstory. So there are a number of characters in this movie that have no backstory or no character whatsoever.
Right.
And we're going to pad that out. And you get extra points for ridiculousness and Britishiness and funniness. So I will give you your characters. Chris, you get the fat manager.
Okay.
John, I will give you Chiwetel Ejiofor,
What?
The black guy.
Well,
Was it
the black guy
from what story?
From the
from the
The
marriage.
dude who's always a
she was
villain,
married
but
to
in this
Keira
one,
Knightley.
in this movie is a hapless victim.
Colin, you will have you'll have the Portuguese woman's dad. Eric, I'm going to give you Rowan Atkinson, the jewelry counter guy.
Okay.
Best character in the movie.
Yep. So those are your guys.
So, backstory for Peter. Peter was the illegitimate son of Sammy Davis Jr. On one of Sammy's London tours. Raised on the streets of Southend, he never had much money, and he never had much of anything, really. But he pulled himself up by his bootstraps by selling recycled sausage in a bun.
Wait, isn't that just shit?
he resold sausage in a bun until he had his first sausage in a bun cart at the tender age of 7. Working hard until he was able to find a nice spot on the River Thames. Mm-hmm. It was there that he met Mark. Mark was a wastrel from a wealthy family who had snuck out of boarding school for the day in order to hang out, throwing money at poor people. And then he fell into the Thames through a series of unfortunate events, and Peter saved his life, and they became best friends ever since. And Peter's business continued to grow while Mark continued to waste money and time sneaking up into people's windows and taking pictures of them while they were naked, which he was trying to sell as an art career. He had a particular fascination with men's buttocks. And because of their lifelong friendship, Mark felt totally comfortable going to Peter for money. And Peter, because at that point had an entire sausage in a bun enterprise, loaned him the money to start his own art gallery and paid for his rent. I'm basically trying to make Mark the absolute shittiest person in the entire world for creeping up on his girlfriend. Peter was also donated to the homeless and was, fed them all.
Sausages and buns, naturally.
Sausage and buns.
And not the recycled ones.
And not the recycled ones. The good ones from his empire of Sausage and a Bun Incorporated. So yeah, that's it. That's the backstory.
That's a good one. All right.
So, the father of the Portuguese housekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Tales are told in this tiny village in Portugal of a killer that stalks at night. A beast, half man, half wolf, that has terrorized the community for decades. Some say centuries. This man carries the curse of lycanthropy.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, he's a werewolf. He is a werewolf, and monthly he murders and consumes citizens of that little village in which he lives. Because there was a curse put on his family line generations ago by an old gypsy woman that said that the beast would haunt this family line until one of the bloodline consumes the dashed heart of one with the soul of the bard.
Jesus.
That's right. So when he heard that his daughter had fallen in love with a writer, he knew that he could break the curse finally on his family line, and the curse of the werebeast would be upon them no more. So even though he played like he might be resistant to it, he knew that this was his way out. So, and that's why the whole town was excited, because this was a hugely kept secret for this little village. So, knowing that this writer, and they compare it, and they say, oh, it's not quite Shakespeare. But they know that this is their opportunity to end this bloody reign of terror that has kept this village in a vice of fear for decades. So, it was destiny that his daughter was supposed to marry Colin Firth and consume his heart. As soon as she gets him alone, she's just gonna werebeast out and chew out his rib cage and eat his heart, and then the family's saved. She might need some therapy, love. But that's cool.
The family and the town.
Exactly, like dozens of lives, really. That's why they're all so excited.
Frankly, he would be selfish.
Yeah, I mean, he can't be mad about that. Like, what's he got to live for? His boo just cheated on him, and he's all broken and everything. He's writing a shit novel by the sound of it. So, like, at least he can do this for these poor people.
That is Love Actually.
That is Love Actually.
Hadaway asked a question, and it was answered here tonight.
Okay, the band manager, or Billy's manager, Joe. Joe and Billy actually grew up together. And it's not like they had hardships. They grew up around, middle-class families, but Billy never really got on with his folks, so he actually spent a lot of his time at Joe's, because Joe's family was really open and really inviting, and, so they kind of grew up more like brothers, And when they were 15, Billy decided he wanted to start a band. And they practiced at Joe's because his parents were really supportive of the whole thing, and they're just really cool people. Well, the band started getting better, and a couple bands kind of came and went, and Billy started becoming a really excellent performer. And even through their teens, it was obvious Joe was the solid ground to Billy trying to be this kind of crazy, rock persona. Mm-hmm. And when Billy's third band, Tongue in the Fart Box, started to make it big, it was only because Joe was, in the background getting them gigs at places, and Joe became kind of the unofficial manager for the band. Well, when Tongue in the Fart Box broke up, Billy went into a funk and a booze spiral, and it was Joe who pulled him out of it, and pushed for him to get back into music. It was the only thing that Billy really was passionate about, and the only thing that he actually took even remotely seriously. And he ended up forming a new band called Boned Pikey. That actually managed to have a charted hit, not topping, but a charted hit. Right. But Boned Pikey didn't really last. But the next band that they formed, Billy formed because Joe was always pushing him, was the one that actually came up with Love Is All Around Us. And that one was a top chart. It hit number 1 for its time. And Billy was always the rock star. Billy was the face of the face that everyone's going to, the face and name that everyone remembered. But it was Joe that put him there. It was Joe that was there for him all along, and he never really wanted, say credit. He was always there literally just looking after Billy. He was his brother. It's the thing with family, even when you're not happy with family, you still stand by them, even when they're kind of fucking terrible to you. And we fast forward to years later, and you have Joe still pushing Billy to, stop. Billy went through his when they started getting big and the money started rolling in, so did the girls and the drugs, and, and Joe really lost Billy for a long time. But, when the drugs and money, shore up and they drained, went away, at least Joe could kind of get at Billy again. I mean, it wasn't perfect, and obviously Billy never saw what Joe was always there doing for him until he convinced him to do that stupid Christmas parody, cover of Love Is All Around, when they, forced Christmas in there. And then the heartwarming moment when Billy actually sees that Joe has been there his entire life, and that he's the real family he actually always wanted.
Aww.
Nice.
Yes, suck it.
Very heartwarming.
Sadly, I couldn't come up with a third band name.
All right, so I'll wrap it up here. All right, so Rowan Atkinson's character in the movie is named Rufus. Now, what we don't know about Rufus is that he's actually a Christmas angel sent from Dimension X by Vlarf Industries. Now, he's not just any kind of Christmas angel. He's the kind of Christmas angel from A Christmas Carol So he is both, so he is simultaneously the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. Wow. So when he was
well, they had to right size things,
Of course. So when he was the ghost of Christmas past, he set this whole story in motion by creating a plausible universe in which Hugh Grant could be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. He made everybody's preconceptions of what a real officer of the public could be, and made them all accept that we can have somebody with Hugh Grant's temperament in this office. So that was his duties as the ghost of Christmas past. The ghost of Christmas present, he literally was the ghost of Christmas present when he was wrapping the Christmas.
Oh my god!
So fucking Severus Snape rolls into the department store and is like, "Hey, I want to get a Christmas present for my side piece." and Rowan Atkinson's like, "Are you sure about that? I don't think this is the path you really want to go around. You don't need to listen to your dick at this moment. Listen to your heart." So he tried to make it as cumbersome a situation as possible, so that Snape couldn't go through with it. And the ghost of Christmas future, actually, I don't know if you guys remember, but Rufus, Rowan Atkinson, was at the airport when Liam Neeson and his stepson showed up and and he was the reason that the kid could get through security. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason Rufus wanted the kid to get through security, if the kid got on that fucking plane, that plane wasn't going to America. It was going to an astral plane. It was going to Dimension fucking X.
Whoa.
Where those kids
no way
were going to be the future founder of Vlarf Industries.
Wow.
So ultimately in this movie it doesn't work out, but what we don't see after the credits and down the road, the kid and the girl, they maintain a relationship, and finally after they're married, when they go on their honeymoon, they eventually board that plane to an astral dimension X, and become the future founders of Vlarf Industries.
Wow.
Yeah, well, those hot girls from America, they're they're from the future too, and they form a really good company too. Zigzag.
That was a lot of good here, actually. Yeah. I'm just looking up the little boy's name. What was the little boy's name?
Sam.
Captain
Jojen Reed.
Yep, Sam.
Captain Vlarf. Sam Vlarf.
His real name is X the Perceiver.
So he must give birth to
did you
John
see those
Vlarf.
eyes? He doesn't miss anything.
He's definitely X the Perceiver.
Yeah.
Yes, he is X the Perceiver.
That's true. All right. Well, some may call foul on this because those who are here now and not listening to an edited version know that Eric got 2 goes, but Eric wins.
Yay!
John, yours is a close second. You actually did very well.
Wow,
yours was really funny.
It's my heart and charm.
Yeah, and sausages. Recycled sausage in a bunch. And lots of English stuff, too.
I just needed more time.
I'm okay with getting second prize on one of these games.
I was blessed by the ghost of Christmas future.
So, Eric, what are we watching?
Okay, guys, you want to know what we're going to watch next week?
What?
Yes.
We're gonna,
yes.
and also, listeners, this is not next week. This movie review will come out at the beginning of January due to our release schedule. Next week, stay tuned for the very excellent Christmas episode that we are in production on right now as we speak.
You won't be disappointed.
No, listeners, next week you will hear us review an Ed Harris movie? No. A Nick Cage movie? No. A Sean Connery movie? Yes. We're gonna watch The fucking Rock.
Oh,
God.
no. Yay.
The fucking Rock.
The movie that put Michael Bay on the map.
Yikes.
Wow, I have not seen that movie in ages.
Me neither.
I wonder if it still holds up.
What exactly does it hold up?
I seem to remember those
green beads.
Green beads are pretty shiny. Maybe they're not as shiny anymore. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. When we return from our Christmas schedule, we will be reviewing The Rock.
Yeah.
Wow.
You got to say it like that too.
The Rock.
Because mouth doesn't make explosion sounds.
The Rock. I'm gonna watch that tonight.
A great big thank you to our staff graphic artist, Tabby Walters, the Weekly Cast, and our listeners. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes, the Stitcher app, through YouTube, or directly on our website. Feel free to send us a movie review suggestion. Every third episode is Listener Appreciation, where we choose from your suggestions. You can reach us through social media, either by liking our Facebook page, John Hates Movies YouTube channel, or following our Twitter at John Hates Movies. Our music was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can find this track and many more on his website, Incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to hear someone say,
So you want to tell me what's wrong? Do you miss your mother? Well, yes. I know I should miss my mother, and I do. I think about her all the time. But really, dear father, to be honest, I just really want to get my dick wet. Oh, God, son. Aren't you a bit young to be worried about that sort of thing? You sound just like my beloved teacher. Dirty cock tease. I'm going to America, where hot teachers are willing to sleep with their wards. Okay, all right. You want to get laid. I guess you're almost a teenager, and that's very common for teenage boys. That's not the worst thing in the world. Au contraire, dear Poppy. It's such a soul-crushing agony. My balls have swollen to the size of durian fruit. They have turned so blue, my school chums have confused them for Smurfs.
Blue balls is no joking matter.
All right, fine. That's enough of that. You're lucky I'm so understanding, or else I'd kick you out on the street. I still might if Claudia Schiffer ever came around. Why? What would you do, dear Poppy? First, I'd cover her naked body in coconut oil, and then I'd tongue punch her fart box till I went off like a deflating balloon filled with clotted cream.
Fuck. Oh, no.
Wow, Dad, that's really gross. That's a terribly inappropriate thing to say to a child. I'm only 7. And that's the skit.